Hello, Miss Amanda.
Good morning, Miss Amanda.
Amanda.
Hello, guys. Okay. Make sure you write your name in the chat box for attendance. We'll give one more minute and then we'll get started. Just waiting for everybody to join. Yes, Lan.
Miss Amanda, in the story page 207, I don't understand this page.
Okay, honey, I'm going to recap it. I told you I would start with recapping the story and then we'll finish, okay? I'll go over it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All names in the chat box, please, before we start. Your attendance is not recorded unless you write your name in the chat box. Okay. All right. We're 5 minutes in, so any name after this is late. Okay. Now, let's recap what happened in our story. Our story is about a 5th grader named Marilia who is going on a field trip with the 5th and 6th grade class at her school to visit a nursing home for older people. Marilia does not want to go on this trip because her grandmother died in the nursing home and it brings up bad memories for her and she's sad when she visits. So she comes up with 4 different ways of trying not to go on this trip. One, she goes to the library and tries to volunteer. The librarian says, of course she can, but after school. Then the second, she goes to her teacher and offers to do an extra book report in school the day of the trip. The teacher says, no, you can do it on the weekend if you'd like. Third, she overeats so that she can get indigestion and will be too sick to go to school. And fourth, she drinks hot water so that when her mom takes her temperature in the morning, that she feels warm and her mother will think that she is sick. Okay. None of these things work. She ends up going on the trip because mom has promised 2 trays of sweets to Marilia's teacher. So Marilia goes on the trip, and in the beginning, she's kind of just standing back and watching, standing alone. Finally, she walks over to the resident that she was assigned to give her the card that she was assigned to make for her. When she goes over, the woman kind of holds her hand out for the card, but she's nowhere near the card when she reaches for it. So Marilia leans down to hand the card to her, and she notices that her eyes are filled with clouds and that she cannot see. She is blind. So Marilia feels upset that the person she was assigned to can't even see the card that she made. And Lenita asked her to describe the card for her. And Lenita rubs her hands across the card. She touches the things that she has on the card. She was very happy with this card And Marilia could really tell that she loved the card more than anybody else could possibly love it. So she was.
Miss Amanda, you are muted.
Can you hear me now? All right, Leanne, raise your hand if you can hear me now. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. You can put your hand down. Thank you, Leanne. All right, now, I still have people joining in the waiting room. All right, so let's talk about the story again. Marilia is a 5th grade student who is going on a field trip to a nursing home with the 5th and 6th grades at her school. They take this trip every year. Marilia does not want to go on this trip because her grandmother passed away in a nursing home. And so she's sad when she visits. It reminds her of her grandmother. She comes up with 4 different plans to keep from going on this trip. She goes to the library and tries to volunteer, to which the librarian replies that she can volunteer after school. She goes to her teacher and offers to do an extra book report, to which the teacher replies she can do it on the weekend. She goes home and she eats a very big dinner, hoping to get indigestion and not feel well so that she won't be able to go to school the next day, but instead it just makes her sleepy. Then she wakes up the next morning and she drinks warm water to make her temperature high so that her mom will think she's sick. In the end, mom tells her that she has to go to school anyway because she has promised 2 trays of sweets to the teacher. Okay? All right. So she goes to the nursing home and she arrives. She finds the place is decorated and they're playing a band is playing there, and the residents are scattered all over the home. The people who live there are all around. She kind of stands by herself for a while. After a little bit, she thinks that maybe giving the card to her resident that she's assigned to wouldn't brighten her day, so she decides to give her the card, even though she's not very happy about being there. She walks over to her resident, which is Elenita, and she leans down to hand her the card. Elenita reaches out for it, but her hand is far away from where the card is. So she leans down to help her reach the card, and she sees that Elenita's eyes are filled with clouds. Elenita is blind. She cannot see. So immediately, Marilia feels upset that she feels cheated that her resident that she was assigned to isn't able to even see the card that she took the time to make. So she's only thinking of herself at that point. So as she's a bit frustrated and turns to walk away, Elenita asks her to describe the card that she made. So because Marilia knows that Elenita can't see the card, she describes it in as much detail as she possibly can. And Elenita rubs her hands across the card. and she listens, and Marilia can tell that she enjoys that card so much, and that she's actually probably more thankful for it than anybody who could have actually seen the card. Okay? Elenita stands next to her, and Marilia stands next to Elenita, and Elenita tells her that she has 2 of the sweets that they were only supposed to take 1 of, and she decides to share it with Marilia. Marilia thinks that this is kind of fun because she knows she's not supposed to have it, so it's like they're sneaking around to share the sweets together. Elenita asks Marilia if she likes to dance, and Elenita tells Marilia that when she was young, she was a great dancer. Okay? Leanne, does that answer any questions you have?
No, thank you.
Okay. So yes, that answers your question?
Yeah.
Okay, honey. All right, so we're on the last page now. Let's, I think Leela was going to read for us. Let me find Leela's name on the list. All right, Leela, are you ready?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I'm okay in the last page.
We are right here. You
Okay.
see?
I used to dance so well that men would line up for a chance to dance with me. I had many suitors at one time. She said I had suitors that serenaded me in the evening and others that brought me flowers, but I didn't go out with all of them. You have to be selective, you know.
Continue, honey.
Okay, too soon we were interrupted by Senorita and Antonita. It was time to get on the bus and return to school. I didn't want to leave. Thank you for the card, Marlena. Valentina said. She opened her hand and gestured for
Gestured.
me,
It's
for
like
me
she motioned for her.
to give mine. I will open her hand and gestured from to her mine. I will keep this card to remember you.
Okay.
But I
To
am
remember
sorry.
you by. Thank you, honey. Okay, so she tells her that when she was young, that lots of suitors came for her, and that she would be surrounded in the evening with people that wanted to dance with her, and that they brought her flowers, but that you had to be selected. Of course, you have to choose very carefully. She's kind of having fun telling Marilia stories of when she was young. All right, go here.
Yes.
Please push mute on your computer so that it doesn't echo like that. Okay, honey, your turn. Read.
Thank you for the card, Marilia.
We read
Uh,
that. We're on the next paragraph.
uh,
Next paragraph.
I'm sorry.
The next paragraph.
As
I'm
I
sorry.
left,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry you can't see it. As I squeezed her hand for a moment, it felt as warm and giving as my own grandma's. I wished I had brought you a better Gondilio.
Agonaldo.
Agonaldo. The best Agonaldo, Alenita said. Was your visit, Marilia? Uh, as I as I left, I felt light and warm and peaceful on the bus ride right back. I told my friend
Margarita?
Margarita about our visit. I couldn't wait to come back next year when I was in the sixth grade. I already knew what I would bring Arenita. I would make her a, a, a
Lodge?
collage uh, that way she would be able to feel the many textures of my picture, even if she couldn't see it. And maybe I could make a picture of her dancing. I knew she had been very pretty when she was young.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Marilia actually enjoyed spending time with Elenita, and when she touched her hand to leave, her warmth of her hand reminded her of her grandmother. And so Elenita planned to come back and visit, I'm sorry, Marilia planned to come back and visit Elenita again. Isel,
Yes.
can you read?
Okay. Mister, where?
You are following along, right? You know where we are?
Yeah.
Okay, Malik, can you read for us?
Yes. Uh, as I as I left, I felt like
Not where we are either, honey. Not where we are either. Who is following along and can read for us? Abdurrahman. Hello, Abdurrahman.
hello.
Can you read for us, please?
Yes. As I looked out the
Also, not
window,
where we are. You guys are not following along. Omar. Hello, Omar. Omar, open your mic, please. Okay, guys, you get participation grades. You need to be prepared and ready when you're called on, that you're paying attention and you're following along.
I know where we are now. I know where we are.
Who are you talking now? Abdurrahman, go ahead.
Are we going to wait until next Christmas to give her your college? Margarita asked. I thought for a moment. Maybe Mamia,
Ma-
Mamia could bring me back sooner, I said. As
Continue.
I as I looked out the window, I remembered how good Elenita's hand felt to touch. It's funny how sometimes things change unexpectedly. Just that morning I didn't want to go at all, but then I couldn't wait to visit my new friend again. We had gone to the nursing home together, Aguinaldo's, and that and what a very special Aguinaldo I had been given. Elenita's friendship.
That's right. Okay. So in the end, Marilia realized that the most important gift she had been given was the friendship of Marilia and Marilia, the friendship of Elenita. So they became friends. All right. Based on what we read, do you think that um, Marilia goes back to visit Elenita? Okay, I have
Yes.
4 hands up. Guys, put your hands down. Abdurrahman, what do you think? Do you think that, please put your hand down unless you want to answer the question that I asked. Abdurrahman, what do you think? Do you think that Marilia goes back to visit Elenita again?
Yes.
Yes, me too. I think so as well. I think that she was pleasantly surprised at how well the trip went. Leanne,
Yes.
you have your hand up, honey.
Yeah, I wanted to read.
Okay. I told you guys I was calling on people to read. I wasn't going by hands up, just calling on people randomly. Yeah, do you have a question?
No, I just
Okay,
wanted to answer the question.
okay, what do you think? Do you think that Marilia goes back
Yes,
to visit? Yes, you do? You think so? I think so too,
yes.
honey. Me too. I think so too. I think that she realized that it's nice to meet new people and that she enjoyed meeting Elenita. Yes, Farah,
No, I was gonna answer the question.
go ahead. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, you think she goes back to, okay, I think we all do. Yes, she was happy to visit and she made a new friend in Elenita. Okay, let's move on now because we've used more than one session for reading. We're going to go to the language arts textbook next. We are on page, let's see the page number here. In your language arts textbook, remember I told you guys to put something in your notebook yesterday. It makes it easy for you to find a little bookmark. We're on page 276 in the language arts textbook, page 276. All right. Now we're talking today about how to use correctly the adjectives more and most. Sorry, with the adjectives more and most. Okay. Um, some adjectives we cannot add er to, and we cannot add est because they're difficult to say and they sound a bit strange. Here's one, for instance, like educational. We wouldn't say was educational or educationalist. It's difficult to pronounce and um, it's it sounds strange as well. So the rule is that when we have a long adjective that has multiple syllables, and there is no specific rule as to how many syllables, but we have a rule that for the longer adjectives in our language, when we are comparing with long adjectives, we use more and most with the adjective to compare. More we use when we compare two things. Most we use when we compare more than two things. Rita, do you have a question?
Oh, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, honey.
Thank you.
You, no problem. Yusuf, do you have a question? Hello, Yusuf. All right, Yusuf, put your hand down, please, if you don't have a question. All right, so again, when we use long adjectives, we use more and most to help us compare. More for two things that we're comparing, and most for more than two things. Okay? Two people, two places, or two things. We use more. More than two people, places, or things, most. Okay? In your English notebook, I want you to write today's date, January the 12th, 2021, January 12th, 2021, and write comparing with more and most. This is our topic for today. So in your English notebook, the date, January 12th, 2021, and our topic, comparing with more and most. For those of you that are taking notes, I would write what is in the box in my notebook. All right. For long adjectives, again, we said we use more and most to compare. We do not add ER or EST. We use more when we compare to. We use most when we compare more than to. Our first example, my trip to Washington, D.C. was more educational than last year's vacation. So we're comparing the trip to Washington with last year's vacation. We're comparing two things. So we use more before the adjective. This was the most interesting trip of all. Of all means all of the trips that we've taken, so that's more than two. We use most interesting. Okay, kind of sounds a little strange to say interesting-er or interesting-est, so we use more or most. Now, there is not a rule that tells you when to use more or most with an adjective. It says some two-syllable adjectives like polite and most longer adjectives use more and most. Okay, if you're not sure whether or not you should use more or most with an adjective, but you suspect that you should because it is a longer adjective, then you can type the word into Google and add ER or EST to the end. When you hit enter, it will automatically correct it for you. It will show you more or most with the adjective, depending on if you put ER or EST. So here we have the example of polite. When we are comparing two things, we use more polite, like Miss Amira is more polite than her friend. Okay, comparing Miss Amira and her friend, more polite because we're comparing two things. Miss Sonia is the most polite of all. Okay, we use most because we're saying of all, comparing all the people. Okay, so we use most for more than two. Beautiful. Comparing two, we say more beautiful. These flowers are more beautiful than the ones we got yesterday. So we're comparing the flowers now with the flowers from yesterday, two things. The roses are the most beautiful flowers in my garden. So we're comparing all the flowers in the garden. So we use most to describe because there are more than two. Okay? So again, one more time, let's recap what we said. We use more and most with some two-syllable adjectives and most longer than two-syllable adjectives, meaning that they have three or more syllables. Most words, not all, but most. We use more or most to compare. More when we're comparing two people, places, or things. Most when we're comparing more than two. Okay? All right, let's go down and take a look at some of the examples. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, do you have a question?
No, I want to answer.
All right, why don't you read number one then?
Okay. The White House, uh, the White House was more interesting than the Capitol. More.
Okay. The White House was more interesting than the Capitol. That's correct, because we are comparing the White House and the Capitol. Two places, okay? More. All right, number two. Thank you, Ed. Read number two for us, please. Jemana.
Yes.
Read number two for us, please, Jemana.
The White House may be the space
Number.
popular.
Go ahead, honey. Sorry. Go ahead.
The White House may be the popular attraction in Washington, D.C. The White House may be the most popular.
That's right. Very good. We're talking about all of the attractions in Washington, D.C. So we use most. Thank you, Jamana.
You're welcome.
All right. ISIL, number 3, please. Hello, ISIL. Hello, ISIL. All right. Told you guys you get participation grades and whether or not you're ready and ready to participate when you're called on. All right, Mohammed, how about you do number 3, please?
Hello.
Yes.
The Washington Monument is the space famous site in the city. Most
Correct, right, because we're talking about all the places in the city, so we use most. Very good, thank you. All right. Pilar. Pilar, can you do the next one for us, please?
Okay.
Okay.
The
National Zoological Park.
most
Okay, the National Zoological Park has the most spectacular collections of animals and birds in the world. That's right, because we're talking about all the animals and birds in the world, so we use most. Very good, thank you, honey. Okay. You guys, when you come to the meeting, you can't come for a few minutes and leave, write your name and leave. I checked back several times during the meeting to make sure you are still in attendance. Okay, so if you leave the meeting, then your name does not count in the list. All right, let's see. Leela, how about you? Number 5?
what?
Can you do the
Hello.
next one for us, please?
Number 3.
Number 5.
Oh, Conception Avenue is
Constitution Avenue is blank crowded than Maryland Avenue.
most
How many avenues are we talking about?
3.
Constitution Avenue and Maryland Avenue.
So it's more.
That's right, because we're talking about 2. It's more, you're correct. Okay, all right, let's see. Iyad, next page, please. Can you do number 6 for us?
Of course, Miss Anita. I think zoos are more enjoyable than amusement parks.
That's right, more, because we're talking about 2 places, zoos and amusement parks. Very good, thank you. Number 7, Rini.
Okay. Yes.
Number 7.
Okay. Our city's zoo has the blank creative exhibit of all. The most creative exhibit.
That's correct, most, because we're talking about all of the exhibits in the all of the exhibits all over in their city. We're talking about all of the exhibits, so we're talking about the most creative ones being at the zoo. Very good. Thank you, honey. The next one, please, Edito.
Yes, the
Can you do
children's
the next one, please?
yes, the children's zoo is the fascinating place to visit. Most.
That's right. It's the most. We're talking about all the places that you could visit. So we are talking about most. Very good. Thank you. Medic. Number 9, please.
Sure. Number 9, the gardens are blank, impressive than the playgrounds. The gardens are more expensive than the playgrounds.
Right. The gardens are more impressive than the playgrounds. We're comparing gardens and playgrounds. Two things. Okay. Thank you. Hamza.
I saw some of the blank unusual plants in the world. I saw some of the most unusual plants in the world.
That's correct. I saw some of the most unusual plants in the world because we're talking about all of the plants in the world. All right. So
Yes.
thank you very much. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you. All right. So we were also supposed to complete page 59 in the practice workbook. But page 59, we don't have time to finish because we only have 1 minute left. So page 59 is homework. You have to complete it for homework. Page 59 in the practice workbook for homework. Okay. Now, I want to discuss the homework policy. The administration has changed the homework policy, and I posted for you on Smart School about it. I'm going to explain it to you again now to make sure that everyone understands. The homework policy, you have to complete your homework and submit it before the next school day, which means like if you have homework tonight, you have to send it to me tonight before school starts tomorrow. That's so that your homework is not late, okay? So you must submit your homework before the next school day. Sorry, okay? You will get 4 grades: homework, participation, behavior, and attendance for your online sessions. Okay, so it's important that you make sure you're paying attention when I call on you so that you're going to get your participation mark. It's important that you submit your homework on time. It's important that you attend the meeting on time and not come late. And it's also important that you behave well in the session, which you do because I mute you anyway, okay? So I'm giving you that one. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands up, less than 1 minute. If you have a question that needs to be answered, keep your hand up. If not, please put your hand